And hit record.
Good evening. I would like to call the meeting of the Curriculum and Student Success Committee of the Portland Board of Public Education to order at 6 o'clock on August 17th, 2026. I am Julianne Opperman, Chair of the Committee and District 3 Representative, and I am joined by Committee Member Myelina. I know that Committee Member and Vice Chair Bondo is traveling, and I will see if Committee Member Ali may become part of the program. I don't know if she's in the outside of our group. Is she in the attendees? No. Okay. Well,
Oh, no, I didn't see. I brought everyone over
okay, great.
from the attendees.
All right. Well, thank you. Um, We do not have a vote planned for this evening, so we're not worried about not having a quorum, but it's an informational night to get ourselves set up for the year. And Dr. Cheryl Proctor, Chief of Academics, will lead us as we review plans for this school year's committee agendas and take a deeper look on the middle school study with the great help of Ms. Otuma. So with
All
that,
right.
send it to you. Oh, is there anyone who would like to make public comment?
There you go.
Thank you. I forget that every time and all. Is there anyone? I don't see.
I don't see anyone in the attendees that would be public comment at this time.
All right. Well, then we will close public comment and begin the agenda. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a second just to share my slides and the presentation
And
for
we also,
this evening.
good to see, this is the first time that Dr. Stevens and Dr. Holloway are joining us. So you're welcome to them.
Let's do a couple of introductions. Let's introduce everyone that's on the screen. This is our first committee meeting for the year. Is that okay? While I pull up the slide.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you'd introduce yourself, Maya, would you start? I mentioned you, but
Hi, my name is Maya Lena. I'm an at-large member of the school board.
Dr.
Hello,
Stevens.
I'm Pamela Tunu, Director of Secondary Innovation and Outcomes.
Hi, I'm Beverly Stevens, the Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Schools.
I'm Sarah Warren, the Chief of Strategy and Operations.
And I am Cheryl Proctor. I am the Chief of Schools and Academics. And did Dr. Holloway
There he
introduce
is.
us?
Yep, I was gonna say I'm trying to get for some reason my camera's not working, so I might transition to another device. But hello
Oh,
everyone, Tremaine Holloway here, Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Schools.
super. Thank you so much for being here, all of you.
No problem. And I had the slides open all day, so here it is as I share my screen. Hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Just a second. I must have. Here we go. Okay, so as we begin our first session for the Curriculum and Student Success Committee, tonight's agenda, we wanted to review the committee's purpose and key actions in brief, and then review and approve with a vote the 2026-2027 proposed agenda. And then we will move on to discuss a little bit more about the middle school design. There was a full update to the board last Tuesday, and we wanted to take an opportunity with the committee meeting to engage a little further, and we will have a rich discussion thereafter. So the committee's purpose and key actions, we can discuss and have conversation about the committee's purpose in the lens of these four elements: curriculum, development and alignment, student success and achievement, policy and communication, and then oversight and accountability as the four lenses through which how the committee will operate. The committee holds standards for curriculum alignment in overseeing development and alignment, and that includes reviewing recommendations, taking proposals into considerations when it comes to new courses and programs, as we heard a little bit at the end of last year, and we will resurface again some new courses and requirements that are coming from the state. The committee aims to ensure curriculum is rigorous and relevant and accessible to all students. The committee also ensures students engage in high quality curriculum and experience effective instructional practices aligned to core standards. When it comes to student success and achievement, the committee monitors student performance data, ensures that all students have the resources and support they need to succeed academically. The committee may review policies related to assessment, grading, retention, etc., all in the aim of meeting its overall objective of student achievement and success. And then the committee considers strategies to support student well-being and create, a positive learning environment. When it comes to policy and communication, the committee develops and recommends policies related to curriculum, instruction, and student support. They foster communication and collaboration between the school board, administrators, teachers, parents, and students, and ensure that all stakeholders are informed about curriculum changes, initiatives aimed at supporting student success. In terms of accountability and oversight, the committee plays a key role in holding the school district accountable for student achievement, monitors the implementation of curriculum and programs to ensure they're meeting the intended goals, and provides regular supports to the school board, regular reports to the school board on student progress and areas for improvement. And so, how we operate and how the committee is able to do this body of work, we have a chair who is Dr. Julianne Opperman. I serve as a liaison and support the building of the curriculum and working with our district teams to ensure that we're able to inform the board with relevant presentations, updated data, information about timely implementation of curriculum, and any other information that the committee may request so that they are well informed to make informed decisions. Okay. And so I'd like to review if there are no questions or discussion about the purpose of the committee. You'll let me know if we can go on to the proposed agenda for the year. Dr. Opperman?
Uh, any thoughts from any of the new people on the meeting? Questions about what we have to do? I know some of you are more familiar than others, but I also want to comment and thank that the fact that with the policy aspect, member Lena is chair of the policy committee, so we have a direct connection there, which is very, very helpful. But other than that, anyone? Okay, go for it.
Okay, and then so now I'm going to bring up our proposed agenda. Give me another 30 seconds. I'm having a problem navigating my tabs. Oh, wrong tab.
Gotta get all the kinks out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, first meeting. We have to rework some of those muscles. Okay. Um, very good. Got it.
I wonder how many tabs you have open.
Oh, you'll see in a moment.
Oh,
More
that's
than I'm comfortable with, hence my trouble navigating. So here we are with the proposed agenda for the year. And let's see. I wish there was a slideshow button for this so that you don't have to stare at all my tabs, but let's go ahead and discuss it. We're having our first meeting for this evening. The meetings are proposed to happen on Mondays from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The proposed, and this should say proposed agenda until it's approved, for the school year of 26-27 includes the agenda items for this evening. Our next meetings would be on September 15th, looking at grading task force updates, technology integration, learning systems introduction. There's a topic that the team wants to engage with the committee on. September 29th, again, looking at student achievement, as we'll have all of our data pieces ready to present and share with the committee. October 5th, special education. October 19th, multilingual updates. Those items are single items, and we're hoping to hold it such as those topics can be very meaty. October 19th would be, as I said, multilingual updates. November 7th, school climate and culture, all aligned as you would see in the indications in parentheses of our strategic plan initiatives, starting with academic achievement. And so, continuing the vein of following with our strategic plan initiatives, November 16th, looking at high school success, and then we'll revisit the new social studies, civics, and economics requirement coming from the state. December 21st, we will work with and discuss library and media center, and we will hear from some of the representatives of the libraries and across our schools. And then we'll again revisit grading task force for another update. January 4th, again, looking at the technology integrated systems. So, the way the agenda is built is that there were a body of topics of interest that we wanted to address within the first part of the year. And then, if you notice, the topics will cycle back to come back around a second time so that this committee can get an update on previous information that was presented. And then it will lead us into our June 7th, which will be a culminating topics to wrap up the year. Okay. And so those are the proposed agenda items.
Thank you.
Yes.
Uh,
Board member Lena. Oh, Lena.
good. I'm glad I was just
Yeah,
glad
thanks.
we had.
Dr. Proctor, would you mind going to the very top of that page? I just wanted the very, very top of the whole document.
Yes.
There are just some typos in the time schedule, I think, that are held over from last year when we started at
Oh,
7:30.
yes.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, just align that. That would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for
Thanks.
that.
Mhm.
I'll
But
do
otherwise,
that.
I think I really like that it has the repeating start, so we have a baseline and then we have a check-in. I think that's really helpful.
Great. Is there any topic that we don't have on there, Maya?
I mean,
I mean, there's always a topic.
there's always more topics. I don't know.
Is there anything that we're covering that might be mirroring in your committee?
I am very interested in the technology piece and learning from the new technology integration specialist. That is something we definitely want to look at policy in terms of how we're using the devices in the classroom and screens in the classroom. So that is something that
Great.
Yeah, would be
That's
great.
good. Well, hopefully, if you have some thoughts ahead of time,
Sure.
to bring to them before they present, so that
Yep.
you get what you need. So
Yes. Thank
that's
you.
good. We don't have a quorum, so we can't technically approve it.
Mhm.
But we may not have a quorum until October. So I don't see any issue. I don't know if
Can I,
yes, yes.
I'm not an official committee member, but I
Oh,
just
you can certainly
pose a
speak,
question.
though. Absolutely. Everybody has a word in this.
I just wanted to, just posing a question out there, whether or not the committee would want to see the middle school design, like where we are with the work before it's presented to the board for its final review at the end of October. I see this is like the last time it's coming to this committee. Um, so just wondering if that's something we want to consider.
I mean, I'm of the general thought that once things move out of committee to the board, then they're at the board level. That's my general opinion, no matter which committee it is. But Dr. Opperman, what's your thought?
Well, I think what's going on is in such great flux that perhaps a brief update of where we are stand, not in as we go along, would be good. I think I don't know that you have, well, I don't know the timing on that. Perhaps when we look at it again, that might be a thought later on. I'm in on the committees. I mean, so I'm not up to it. But I wonder if it's something that we want to bring here for um, input from the public. Is that your thought, um, Pam, Pamela?
Yeah, I think it could be for the public for sure, and also just for this team to review, and then that way you have, right, you've got other board members. I know you come to all the meetings, board member Opperman, but having other board members have eyes on it and maybe talk about it also before it comes to the board. So it's you've all had, most of you have had a chance to look at what's coming and have had a chance to discuss it too. And then we
If
can
we,
also make revisions and if we
if
need to.
we, a good point. If we did that, what are you looking at time-wise at this point? Or can you know that the right time for it?
So I think Dr. Proctor, when we present to the board would probably be the last Tuesday in October, right? I don't know if we have that date.
It's a couple dates in there for workshops and all.
I'm going to
So
stop sharing my screen so that I could check that for a moment. Is that okay? All right. And I have it here. Here we go. And so what I see in the calendar, um, just a second, is that there is a board meeting October 27th. The second board meeting in the month of October is on October 27th. Is that what you were asking, Pamela?
yes, that if we're presenting the considerations or options there, perhaps the Monday before that, when this committee meets, we bring it to this committee before it goes to the board on the 27th.
Will you be ready? You think we'll be ready?
Whatever it is that we have, I think it'd be good to review then. And I remember when the middle school resolution was also up for proposal, we had a lot of community members that showed up to this committee meeting and gave input and feedback. So that's another, as you had named, another place we could get one final
Good.
feedback from the community.
Okay. Can we put
That
it?
meeting date would be October 19th, Pamela.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me go back to sharing my window.
Dr. Stevens and Dr. Holloway, if you have some thoughts too about something that you see or from your experience with the rhythm of a school year. And of course, Dr. Warren, your wisdom is always helpful.
Oh, nope, that's not it. Here we go. Add it here.
Okay.
We would have to Adjust because multilingual updates could be heavy, and middle school redesign updates can be, robust. And so we only have an hour and a half. Would someone like to make a recommendation?
I'm
My
I could,
my
or we could put
recommendation,
it to, yeah, go ahead.
I just would say keep it at the board level. That's just because the committee is meant to be seeing things that are first going through committee and then moving to the board. And I know that would be another opportunity for public comment, so that is a bonus. But just if we're already pretty heavily scheduled, I would prioritize the multilingual updates over the middle school because there is a plan to present it at the board level.
I understand both of your thoughts on that. And the only thing I would ask is where would we put multilingual in those first couple meetings um, to give them ample time? I guess that's the payoff, their trade-off, excuse me, on that.
And
What's
again,
your,
that was just a proposal. If there isn't room, I think it is important to prioritize the multilingual piece there. So I'm just keeping at the board level is fine. It was just something that if we had space and time, it would be nice,
Yeah,
not necessary.
yeah, I think we have a cadence and of dates of to update the board, and I think it's a good idea
stick
to
with,
allow that flow
yep.
to the board level to occur, especially if it's a topic that the board would be ultimately voting on.
Mhm.
I
We're not
wonder
voting on it.
about, the rules when it comes to a level of board engagement or quorum of board members discussing an item that would be voted upon in the future.
And also sometimes we have committees, I mean, topics that they're not ready. Um, and it could be that in special ed or in multilingual. And if that were to happen, perhaps we could get an update, a more complete update, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So I stick with it as it is. But yeah, and go for it. And maybe we'll see in a month that we need to, an agenda is always something that can be adjusted and adapted to the needs. It always has been. We've got things pop in all the time.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And we'll leave it as it is. So good
Yeah.
point, Maya. And any other thoughts from anyone else? I've had a lot of positive comment from the librarians across the district about the media center, and looking forward to that one because that's integral to, it doesn't matter what topic we talk about, and where they fit into science and math and literacy and research and all sorts of things K-12. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they do. It's a kind of not not thought of right up front. So, okay, with that, is there anything else that we need to talk about this? You good, Maya? All right. So we'll say it's, you know, uh, uh, we'll say it's approved in practice or something that sort of thing. So if we get in trouble, someone can say, yeah, we didn't vote on it. We could, it's fine. We don't need to vote on it. So moving
Okay.
on.
All right. So
We'll move on to see what we can hear. A great presentation on the middle school stuff. Looking forward to that.
excellent. And so as I bring up the slides again and share.
Have, as she does that, Pamela, have there been any committee meetings since last week's board meeting?
No, there's, to my knowledge, like what you're about to see is similar to what you saw at the board meeting. There are no updates.
Okay.
So what we are doing is giving an update in this forum, as requested. The update is at a very high level, very similar to what was presented at the board meeting on August 11th. And what we intend to do is to open up one of the frameworks so that we can take a look and examine one of the frameworks that we did not have an opportunity to do at the board meeting. And then from that, we'll have a discussion and then we will close this topic of the middle school design update. So at this point, I'm going to, I can't see, turn it over to, thank you, Dr. Holloway.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Good evening, everybody. Grateful to be here and grateful to provide some updates regarding our middle school redesign process. Like Dr. Parker mentioned earlier, some of this information may be familiar or something that you saw recently. There are some new parts that we didn't share per se within that board update last week, but just so everyone gets the same message, wanted to make sure that we were able to be able to elevate some of these points here, some of these updates. So again, as mentioned at the board meeting last week, we've held two engagement sessions over the summer. One was held at Lincoln Middle School, and so we had an opportunity to have some folks be in person for that particular one, and so that actually is the work that we have been doing recently, and we have actually taken a moment to be able to synthesize some of that feedback. We're not going to share that feedback tonight per se, but we are going to share some insights that came out from the work of those work groups, just some high level conversations and insights that will be really pertinent to hear today. Regards, and like I mentioned before, we did do a little bit of an update to this. So you can see right there, it says board update last week on August 11th. And just what Dr. Proctor just iterated, just reiterating it here as well, as a guiding coalition, we'll use the design framework that we discussed and talked about at a high level at the school board meeting, not necessarily got into the details of the framework, but really talked about the pillars that involve that framework. We want to really talk about that tonight and ongoing as we think about some of the considerations that we want to propose to the board. So next slide. So again, the energy and the ideas that are coming from the community, from the engagement that we're getting from the work groups has really been a good storytelling process for us. So here you could see some of the things that we are hearing. It feels as if that there is really a sense of excitement and enthusiasm. People are really engaged. The participants are really thoughtful and generous with their ideas, willing and able to lean in and actually dream. One of the things we're really trying to push people to do is just to dream about what the future that they want for not only their child, but for the children of Portland Public Schools. And so that's been really amazing just to kind of hear people just really put their thoughts and ideas out there and really showcase what their dream is for Portland Public Schools. There's a strong appetite for real world, hands-on, hearts-on, and minds-on education. So project-based learning, place-based education, opportunities for people to really do that experiential learning, connecting that to the real world. There's a strong appetite for that we're hearing pretty loud and clear from our work groups, which I'm really excited about as a person who's a champion for project-based learning. There's also just, coupled with that, a lot of folks really want to hear more about rigor, right? They really, and understanding rigor and high expectations aren't synonymous, but essentially really wanting to make sure that there's high expectations and there's a lots of rigor in the work that students are doing so that they can be adequately prepared for the future that they choose when they leave Portland Public Schools. What I really appreciate about the work is families are really leaning in as partners. We're not just engaging families and communities, we're really using them as thought partners. And I think they feel really valued in this process because Pamela and the team has done an amazing job of just making sure that people feel really heard, really valued. So I think that this is really allowing for our families and our communities, our learners to really feel as if they're a partner in this work, not the work that's being done to them, but done with them. And then kind of reiterating what I said earlier before, just the enthusiasm around being able to talk about the design framework and how that's been developed at this particular phase as it's taking shape. So these are some of the ideas that are coming out of the community engagement sessions we've been having.
All right. So I have to say it's really been awesome to be a part of this work. And the community engagement sessions that Dr. Holloway just spoke about, people have shown up really eager, enthusiastic, and excited to be a part of defining what middle school is going to look like for all of our students. So it's been awesome to watch that energy and to watch the thinking and the engagement that happens. And I would appreciate those of you that have shown up. I know we've had board members show up to community engagement sessions, and it was really nice to see that as well. So what happened is, as we heard feedback, so Dr. Holloway spoke to some of the feedback that we heard. We took all of that and we synthesized it, and really what we saw emerging were some key themes. So the core themes that were coming up were around, as you heard from the previous slide, academic rigor and curriculum, right? So our families and our community members saying like they want higher expectations for all of their students. And we heard this across stakeholder groups and demographic populations as well. Culture, belonging, and SEL were also named as areas to strengthen and grow in terms of advisory and crew. Physical space and facilities, of course, we need to make sure they're safe our buildings are safe for students and that the learning space is appropriate for the programming we're aiming for. Staffing and collaboration time needs to be protected as well as the student and teacher ratio is something that we need to look at. Schedule and operations, another core theme that came up, and then family and community voice. Right, so these are the main ones. Go ahead, next slide. Right, so the other thing, and you did look at this at the board meeting on August 11th, but as the work groups were gathering feedback from community engagement sessions, and the Guiding Coalition was also looking at those. The Guiding Coalition then had the task really of thinking about if we're thinking about different considerations or options for how we move forward with our middle school design, what are those things that we need to think about that would give us those different sort of design models or considerations to bring to the board? And so the things that came up, so it was decided then that because of what we've heard from the community, the academic program needs to be strong across the board at all of our middle schools, no matter what middle school a student's at. So that's something that we're not going to say like, well, one middle school gets to have really strong academics, but another one, like we're going to say it's okay. So that design framework, which you'll see in a little bit, is going to be consistent across all our middle schools. So then we had to think about what are the things that may be different that we need to consider from our current condition now as it stands. And so grade configuration came up. Right, so the members of the Guiding Coalition thought about various ones, and the reason why you see 5, 8, 6, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8, 6, 9 is not because members of the committee were sold on this is the grade configuration we definitely want to move forward, but they really wanted to open it up and then take it to the work groups to share research and sort of conditions that need to be in place in order to have these grade configurations really serve our students well. And so that's why all of these were posed as things to look at. And I know you guys engaged in a discussion around that last Tuesday. Extended day is another one that came up. An extended day really in terms of ensuring that there's, MTSS and student supports available for students after the core day when students are learning. Or the other option would be, the core content is taught during a standardized day, and then we build in tutoring, but also maybe clubs and sports to build in equity for students who can't get rides or transportation to and from school after school hours. So those are all things on the table as well. Then the other piece that came up was school models. So while we have, a framework right now, a design framework, which highlights what needs to be in place in all of our schools in terms of programming, there's still that option that that we could pick a model, like one model for all of our middle schools, or pick a couple models. So there's one middle school has a certain already recognized national model, another one has a different recognized model. So that's also something. And we could decide, no, we're not going to go with any models that are nationally recognized. We're just going to go with our established framework that we're building and refining with community feedback. So these three buckets were the areas in which the Guiding Coalition felt we could lean on and do research on and get feedback on from the community and the work groups to really move forward. sorry, what I want to emphasize is that in today's discussion, we're not going to discuss these three considerations at all. What we're going to do is we're going to review the design framework itself that has been built out and give you some time to digest that, look at it, and ask questions and also give feedback on that. All right, so here's a very sort of very high level overview of those frameworks, right? So this is what I was talking about. So this is really defining the program that's going to exist at all of our middle schools, right? So regardless of what middle school a student goes to, they're going to experience all of this. And so what we did to develop this, we took the feedback we heard from the community, uh, you know, via surveys, virtual and in-person community engagement. And then we also took into account some expertise right from our directors and staff at the school level, and what we knew research also said. And so we put all those together to sort of develop a design framework to then bring to the work groups for them to weigh in and give feedback and refine. So as we did that, and really leaning on the feedback from the community, there were six sort of frameworks or buckets that emerged in this work. So right here, you see six of them. These are the six core, and then we've got two others that really inform implementation of these six core. So the first being academic programming, school organization, multi-tiered support, special education, ESOL programming, both of those again highlighted in the MTSS system, and climate and culture. And the two not here that really are district coherence, equity, and implementation, which you'll see in the framework when you look at it in a little bit. And then the other piece is professional development and adult learning. So both of those, the district coherence, equity, and implementation, as well as the professional development, really are important pieces to move the six core forward into implementation. And one thing I will say is just one quick thing about this framework. It was noted, and I thought it was great insight at the Guiding Coalition. One of the Guiding Coalition members said, "Oh, as they were reviewing the framework, oh, this is really operationalizing the portrait of a graduate and portrait of a school community." And to all of us, like, yes, right? That's exactly what this does.
So, yeah, we're going to take a couple minutes to engage around the framework. I'm going to click and open up the framework. Um, are you all seeing it? Excellent. Look how that works. I love that. And then so and so this is the actual framework, and I'm just going to talk. I'm going to take 5 minutes to talk through it. And then you all have access to it. I could also drop it in the chat if needed, so that you could take another few minutes to do a deeper dive. And then we'll come back and we'll discuss around 4 questions. So the framework, as you see, is grounded in the vision and mission of why we exist. That all learners would be fully prepared and participate and succeed in a diverse and ever-changing world, and that Portland Public Schools, as its mission, is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world. We build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote a healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. So the framework again is here, and there are three interconnected ideas of the framework: academic programming, school organization and teaming, and other integrated components, such as systems that ensure every learner can access and succeed academically, like MTSS, ESOL programming, special education programming, our climate and culture efforts, and our professional development that we offer to staff. And so with academic programming, right, now you get to see how in-depth this is. Academic programming actually has a number of sub categories, core academic expectations. And you could, when we give you the time, you could dig a little deeper into each bullet. Relevant, applied, and student-centered learning concepts, curriculum and instructional design, assessment, feedback, and student agency, and just facilities and learning environments overall. The second component, which is school organization and teaming, their subcomponent speaks to teams and student cohorts, defining that, looks at common planning and collaborative practice time, shared responsibility and leadership, master schedule and flexible structures, relational trust, and adult care. And the multi-tiered system of supports as a third component that we highlighted in those big buckets, really, MTSS should focus as an integrated evidence-based system that ensures all students receive grade level instruction and timely support to accelerate learning, engagement, behavior, attendance, and well-being overall. And so while there are sub-bullets here to consider, we also have linked the actual MTSS framework, which when you have an opportunity, you click on that and you're able to see what that framework looks like in detail. Okay. And so, as I figure how to get back, see, I did all the clicking. Let's see. Give me a second. I would love to get back to here. Still sharing, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's where that framework for MTSS lives. The next component then is special education. And knowing that special education should fully be integrated again into an academic program so students receive appropriate individualized support while maintaining access to rigorous grade level learning, general education courses, electives, and the broader school community. These are the components, these are the elements that fit there. And then ESOL programming as well is another component. And there are the bullets here and a link to the ESOL implementation guide that you can review. Culture and climate is another area that has quite a few sub-components built in. And so when we think about culture and climate, we are thinking about the relationships, advisory, belonging. We're thinking about behavior, accountability, and student voice. We're thinking about social, emotional, and mental health supports, identity, representation, and family partnerships, community activities and shared traditions, academic culture, and expectations. Under professional development and adult learning, it really takes into consideration what is the learning that we need to create in the professional development for our staff, our adults, our teachers, our leaders who are interacting with our middle school students and creating the conditions necessary for their success. So professional development should be embedded in the work of teams connected to curriculum and student evidence and organized as one coherent system of preparation, induction, coaching, inquiry, leadership, and continuous improvement for middle school redesign. And then you'll see the individual elements there. And finally, district coherence, equity, and implementation. The middle school model should create a coherent and equitable experience across all three schools while preserving thoughtful professional judgment within clearly defined district expectations. And so as I stop sharing here, I will drop the link for the framework into our chat, if you for easy access. Let's see.
I don't think there's a chat. I was
There
looking for it
isn't a chat.
earlier.
I know I was going to help out and drop it in, and I was like, oh, I don't have access to the chat.
No chat today.
Yeah. Well, it's in the board materials. Huh.
Do you want me to, do you want to do a quick email? I could do that real quick.
That would be so helpful, Pamela, because I honestly, this is Zoom. Zoom always has a chat, but I maybe because of our webinar platform, that's what Dr. Holloway says. That's why. Okay. So I'll continue to share my screen then and allow you to kind of uh, get into the document.
All right, let me grab that.
Were you able
I
to
just
send
shared.
that?
Yeah, I
Yep.
just sent it.
Okay, great.
I think it's going to be difficult, certainly, or impossible to cover every aspect of these different ones tonight, in the time we have. I don't know.
Well, mhm.
I'm sorry. And I've looked this over before. I didn't know if there's any particular aspect that Member Lena wanted to look at.
Well, I think as we look at it, we could just really discuss it in very high level, just as any particular element that speaks to you, what is your takeaway or immediately framing of this. So as I go back here, I apologize. Here we go. These are, and I go to share my screen again. These are the questions that we're hoping that you would consider,
Mhm.
and feel free if you are not able to fully dig deep into it in this setting, feel free to send an email to myself, Dr. Holloway, and Pamela with any of your thoughts, feedback, or questions that you have about the framework. We really appreciate the engagement and your ideas that would come from, your level as board members. And with this being a public meeting, any thoughts that the community has are also welcomed. So these are the questions. What's missing? What should be clarified or strengthened? Does this align with the PPS vision and mission, portrait of the graduate, and portrait of a school community? And what would make this framework more actionable and easier to implement? Board Member Lena, do I see you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. I'm not exactly sure which part of the framework this falls into, but I just was jotting down some notes and some questions that I had. And I think it does speak to the portrait of the graduate and portrait of a community, and just another plug for really emphasizing the K-12 experience, pre-K 12 experience in PPS. I would love to see the portrait of a graduate come to all kindergarten families when they're enrolling their kids in PPS. I just think it's so great to it's such a wonderful vision and document, and it really speaks to what the experience is. Um, and I would encourage those of you working on the middle school project to look at middle school as part of that K-12 experience. I know it was brought up at the board meeting the other night. Like, should we look at this broadly, how the middle school fits in, or should we just focus on the middle school? And my personal opinion is really think of it as part of the K-12 experience, not only for a student, but for Portland Public Schools as a whole, and how middle school is a piece of that. And one of the things that was mentioned in the presentation was class sizes, and that, going back to policy committee, that is something the policy committee is hoping to look at again this year, and thinking about how class sizes at the middle school and high school level um, are different from class sizes that we see at the elementary level. If we're talking about staffing, how can we right size the staffing at all three grade spans? And there was one other thing. I think that's really mostly it. One other piece with this K-12 concept is thinking about how middle school, how families can learn more about middle school before they get to middle school. And I think there is a bit of this unknown within the community of like an unfamiliarity with the middle school until their child is enrolled there. So just thinking about ways that whatever programming is in place, like how can we bring the community into the schools, um, and do more, just like make it, the community school concept or model, bringing in the community to more events or performances and that kind of thing, and really communicating with the elementary schools and having it be this continuous experience for our students. Those are all things I would love the committees to think about when they're working on this research.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for that comment. Um, did you want to take a few more minutes just to take a look at the framework and then share anything that is coming up for you? Any thoughts, any additional thoughts, questions? I know that it's a small body of us this evening. Usually we have more on the line, so I won't take too much time.
Yeah,
But go
one,
ahead.
sorry, one other thing
Yeah.
just about this, in terms of the extended school day and
Hmm.
looking at the whole district in terms of if we did that in order to fit more things in for the students, how does that affect the rest of the schools with transportation? That would be a key piece to
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah.
That absolutely. I mean, that is one of the work groups is looking at that and being because it's looking at the K-12 experience, elementary parents have been, vehemently complaining about the fact that some kids are going to school at 7:30, some at 9, they can't, coordinating these things. Some schools didn't, there was some plan originally to switch things around. Um, so all of those kinds of situations. So I think the transportation piece certainly will lend itself to making a better situation that hopefully, I guarantee nothing, hopefully make a better situation for the elementary. And I think you're right. I mean, the elementary, I mean, when Pamela first started all this work and we've been working at it, we talked about the fact that this is something that needs to be looked at all levels. I mean, the portrait of a graduate, because it does start in kindergarten, it starts in preschool. But, as like everything else we do in this, we do it a bit at a time. I think I agree with you. My only concern is that if we decide on programming in middle school, the academic programming, and which it and um, sports is different than elementary. It's different than high school. It is its own beast, and it's been very neglected beast. I think that financially, or the fact that they're so different in Portland. The comment I mentioned earlier, comment about whether you get the same science course at each. That was going to be one of my questions, or brought up, is how do you see the specific content areas go across the district um, in the middle school, um, even if you have a different organizational model, and that piece was one of my thoughts that came up this evening. I think looking at the organization piece, the planning. I think you're absolutely right. The ideas of this. I would be interested to know, Member Lena, what you see, because your children will be coming into this, what you would want to see for a piece of elementary school that continues into eighth grade. I mean, what would you, so that it comes up? I mean, we do have a couple of elementary people in, because and thank goodness, because if it's the fourth graders, the fifth graders that are going to be in the schools soon. What, any thoughts about what you wish would happen in the middle school?
I don't know that I fully understand what you're asking
Well, the
me.
question is, it has to, in doing a K-12 continuum,
Mhm.
right? I mean, we can't just silo everything, which has always been the problem in high school, is trying to get some things together and it's siloed, which is different from middle school. And certainly I've always said elementary teachers are the uh, most amazing human beings in the world because they teach everything to everybody. And so it's exhausting. I mean, that's a classroom that I think every member of the board should go into. But so in that continuum, and you're right, to consider whatever's going on. I'm just wondering from your perspective, because you've thought about this, what would a third or fourth grade parent expect would continue into middle school from what worked well in elementary school with adjustment for maturity for the kids? I, what do you like about elementary school? I guess maybe let's go that simple.
I mean, I definitely feel like the sort of neighborhood community aspect of it is a big plus. But that does continue to middle school to some degree. But I guess I would like to see more partnership between the elementary and middle schools in terms of someone said to me, I taught middle school for a number of years. Someone said to me, the problem with middle schools is that they exist, meaning that you have this group of adolescent, pre-adolescent children that are kind of together and they're meant to test boundaries and try things out, and they don't have older kids there to tell them like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's not cool. And they don't have younger kids to be um, setting an example for or helping care for or nurture, and that they're just all together. Um, so I just some kind of more partnership. I mean, even the most basic thing would be having a more direct line of communication among the PTOs. So the PTOs can communicate and say, "Hey, row students, at Lincoln there's the musical this weekend, and at King, because that's where the students go, there's a basketball game. Like, go check it out." Just so that there's this connection that's happening in advance. Um, I don't know what else to say beyond that right now.
No, I think those are superior ideas, really. And I think looking at some of the design framework, I'm just going to go back to that in a
And I
second.
can add to that too what board member Lena
Yep.
shared is in that hearing from families and the community members. One thing it was noted differences between elementary and middle school, and one thing they said they really loved from elementary school that gets lost in transition is the communication and family engagement.
Mm.
They're not as engaged. They don't know what's happening. The communication drops, it seems, drastically, and so they would like to see that in middle school, like what they see in elementary school, for sure. And staff have also said exactly what board member Lena shared, which is transition from fifth to sixth grade is not supported well, and the efforts we've put for eighth to ninth needs to also be placed in fifth to sixth grade. So that those are also things that we've heard from the community.
Excellent. In the areas of academics, um, is there anything that any of you think would be important to beef up, let's say, in middle school, or in elementary school so that the students are ready for middle school? We talk about getting the middle school kids getting ready for high school. We talk about the elementary kids getting ready for middle school. Um, and because, again, as I mentioned, the days are organized differently with the way middle school's a something of a transition between the two. Is it better to go more towards the high school end of organization in middle school, where you're highly content specific, Or is it better to do um, the variety of things that happen in an elementary school in a more of a mosaic, I guess, is how I would picture elementary school. And again, anyone have thoughts, bad ideas, good ideas of that, or you know, it's
So can I frame, am I understanding, is your question whether or not teachers should teach all subjects like they do in elementary school? Is that,
well,
or
that's, I
why?
mean, that's a question, or that the students don't have a large dose of any one particular content area at a time. I think some of the project-based stuff is a little bit more sophisticated of what happens in elementary. I always think of elementary paying, but um, the comment that comes sometimes from high schools, they're not prepared. They don't think like they need to think to get into the high school brain mode of concentrated attention on a particular topic for an extended period of time. You know, we always, the content always comment always comes up with reading and stuff. So
Mm.
I don't know what, again, this is, I'm opening this up to everybody, but Maya, I mean, you're a person we need to hear from
Yeah.
too.
I think also, I think what I hear is like the critical thinking. I mean, when it comes to the academics, if you look at the framework, you'll see that there is a heavy excuse me, on rigor and real world experiences for students. Those are some of the experiences that will help them to think critically and to really apply the application of learning across multiple scenarios or situations. And that definitely demonstrates, when a student's able to do that, then they're able to demonstrate that they have full ownership of the learning and of the knowledge that they attained, and that they can transition, that into higher levels of thought and critical analysis. And I think it's really about ensuring that we're providing those opportunities for students and for their readiness as they're going into the secondary levels of middle school and then ultimately high school. And so, if we look at the academic framework and even look at some of the elements there, as we talk about MTSS, as we talk about special education, then, it's still speaking to the programs and the program experiences that we want to build for our children. So,
Uh,
with that, um, if there are no other thoughts or discussion points, we could continue on as we have just a couple more slides to go.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And so, thank you for just the discussion. I think we just wanted to show you the framework at a high level because we had a sense that maybe outside, and we thought about, the other board members that would have been in attendance that maybe wouldn't have had an opportunity to take a look at this and to dialogue around it to understand the genesis of it, where it came from, and how it is that we're going to use it in future engagements and activities as we are continuing the work of bringing together with the Guiding Coalition some options before the board. So thank you for engaging there. And then so at the board meeting, part of, what you spoke about before was, impacts of transportation, impacts of other elements. And at the board meeting, you did get a very high level overview of the facility assessment. And that information can be viewed again in the notes and in the recording of the August 11th board meeting. In addition to the Harriman study of middle schools that had a number of themes around all of our middle schools and the conditions of the school, considerations around enrollment and capacity, and effective utilization for programming. And so we'll continue to do the work of examining operations, finance, facilities, um, all, together with the academic programs and student supports to build out what the rest of the middle school work will look like. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Pamela to share with us some next steps and how we'll continue this work moving forward.
All right, thank you. So now until late summer, we're going to keep digging in. So the Guiding Coalition, as well as the other work groups, will be refining the options now called the considerations. And I have to share, so the members of the Guiding Coalition did not want to call it options because they felt that was too strong of a word this early on, and options of what we're presenting to the board. So they thought something we could call it considerations, right? It's a little bit lighter and we have room to move and change things before we call them options. So we'll keep working on those. And then in September, we're going to convene some more community engagement sessions as we refine those and bring it to the community so that they can weigh in and they can see what has been developed thus far before it goes to the board in October. So we'll have a community engagement session in September. We'll also have one that's specifically for middle school staff, where all middle school staff will look at what's been developed so far and weigh in and give feedback. And then we also, I know board member Bondo was here. She would be asking, "What about the students?" We're also going to,
You
we're
know
all,
her.
yes, we'll also engage students, and so we'll look at creating space during advisory at each of the middle schools for students to sort of engage in this process at a level that's appropriate for them as well before we finalize anything. And so again, we'll keep gathering information about facilities and the assessment, right, and working with Harriman to do that work, as well as developing the education and programmatic design of things. So we'll keep coming to the board with updates. We'll also keep updating the middle school design webpage, and we'll have a cadence of sending out communications so that people stay in the loop around all of this. Yes.
Maya?
Thanks. September is really close. Do you have the dates yet for those?
For the community engagement?
Yeah.
Yes, so September 16th. We
Okay.
just landed on those this afternoon, actually, yes. So
Okay.
so September 16th, during the school day, during professional development, the middle school staff will engage in this. So it'll be run during the school day for them. And then in the evening, it'll be opened up for the community from 6 to 8 p.m.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Right. I have a big question.
Mhm.
How do you, if this comes to the board, in whatever options slash, considerations, and the board says, we don't like any of them, or we like some of this or some of that. What do you envision happening the next step? Is there, and also to go into, say they agreed to something, a particular thing, what happens next?
So what I could say to that is the board gave us a charge to provide options to do the deep study, to engage the community, to include research and a full 360 assessment of what's possible. And so the options that we provide the board will be presented, we hope by October 27th at that board meeting. This is why it's so important for board members to engage in different ways so that we can really include their voice and their input in this. And so we would, after fulfilling the resolution and the direction of the board, we would then wait for the board to give us further direction. So it's not so much that we have a plan of action, but this work is initiated by a board resolution and by a direction given by the board. Once we make that final presentation, we will await further direction from the board, and it may occur in that night that if they do say they're not ready to move on any one option, then we would ask them for direction. And so that direction could be to get more information, to further the study, to discontinue, or it could be to move forward with one of the recommendations. At that point, if it is move forward with one of the recommendations, then we will pull together a team to develop, to continue the work of developing exactly what an implementation plan, a full, robust implementation plan would look like. And it would include departments, multiple departments, and cross-functional teams. And so from that, similar to how we did with the resolution, we would come back then with a framework of what that implementation, a timeline would look like, and how it can inform the budget season. So that is kind of what I'm thinking right
Thank
now.
you. That's
Mhm.
what I wanted. Sometimes we get in the middle of this and people wonder what happens, and how does this happen and all. But
Yeah,
we
this is yeah, so because it starts with direction from the board, it would really be on the board to give us direction.
will do. Anything else from anyone else? We're good? Well, then I will suggest that we adjourn, and you agree with me, Maya?
Yes.
Okay, so we are now adjourned. Thank you to everyone. It's 7:11. I know it's still summer and you still came out. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you, particularly Beverly and Jermaine. It's good year. It's going to be a great year. Okay, take
Yes,
care.
thank you. Have a great night.
Night.